Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
All right. Yeah. Welcome to Like It Is Today. And I am your host, Fierce Truth Seeker. And I'll start off the show by putting out the disclaimer as usual that the views and opinions of our guests are not necessarily the views and opinions of the show. And with that said, we're going to get started. And we've got a very good show today. And we're going to be talking about the Universal Hip Hop Parade. It's an annual parade in honor of Marcus Garvey, and it's something that I had been involved with from the time it started. And this was the visionary of the parade was brother Jeffrey Kazembe Batts. Okay. And so we want to talk about that parade. And we've done a show with Brother Kazembe a few months ago. And this particular show is going to highlight some of the upcoming events leading up to that parade. And joined with me are two guests who are members of the Universal Hip Hop Parade in honor of Marcus Garvey. And right now, I'm going to introduce Brother David and Brother Daryl. Hey, peace, peace, peace.
Peace, beloved. How
Peace.
goes it?
Good, good. How y'all doing?
All is well. All is well. Glad to be here.
Oh, good, good.
Definitely.
Glad to
Thank
hear
you.
that.
Thank you for having this
Yeah,
platform for us
Indeed.
to,
Thanks for having us.
yeah.
you're quite welcome. Quite welcome. So today's show is not going to be too long. It's only going to be an hour. And a lot of people who are not used to doing shows and interviews think that an hour is a long time. But once the cameras start rolling, an hour goes by just like that. So we're going to try to get it in as much as we can in that short window of time. So I want to open up with talking to you, Brother David, and tell us a little bit about the Universal Hip Hop Parade, how you became involved, and a little bit about Marcus Garvey and hip hop in terms of your passion. What drove you to become involved with this particular organization.
Definitely. So I got involved with the UH double P, no, the U double HP Universal Hip Hop Parade about 5 years ago. Me and Kazembe, we went to grad school together, in Manhattan, the School of Professional Studies. We got our degrees there. So what drew me to it is like Brother Kazembe always says is that um the parade stands on two pillars: social justice and hip hop. Like we have two legs. So those are things that I'm passionate about. Definitely social justice in our communities. Like fighting for that and advocating and demanding that. And then hip hop, just growing up on hip hop and it having such a powerful impact on my life as far as expressing yourself, whether it was spoken word or being an MC or just the culture, the style, the fashion. So it's definitely had made an impact on my life. Um, so as far as the parade, I learned a lot about through Kazembe about Marcus Garvey and the Pan Africanism movement, and the influence how he wanted to liberate the consciousness of Africans all over the world, blacks all over the world. So and I just been inspired. I just been inspired, and I think the UHP, that's what we do. We're an organization, a nonprofit that wants to get around social justice and use hip hop as a way to inspire and affect change. And I think we do a good job of that collectively by bringing all our resources. There's hip hop is involved. There's writers. I'm a freelance writer, a hip hop journalist. There's people of all walks of life, people in the political field, in government, and we just pool our resources and we're stronger together. Like Kazembe says, he's stronger as a fist as opposed to just a hand. Like you're stronger together. So and yeah, and I land there. Yeah, anything. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Now I know that there's some because we had an interview with Kazembe a few months back, so the viewers are somewhat familiar with the organization. But there's some upcoming events that uh, the organization is spearheading. Would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for giving us a platform to speak about that. So there is a upcoming parade May 18th, and it's the Pro African Purpose parade, and it's gonna start on Marcus Garvey. But to get the specific details of the time and the starting place and the ending place, pay attention to our social media. We should be updating that in the next few weeks. But again, the parade is May 18th, and that falls on a Saturday. The Pro African Purpose Parade, that's what is being branded as, and just to bring more consciousness and put more pressure on the U.S. The United States elected officials to be in support of countries along the African diaspora, including Zimbabwe, South Africa, and allies such as Cuba and Haiti. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna bring attention to those countries, put more pressure on the U.S. government to be in support of those countries along the foreign policy and the impact that their policies are having on those countries. So yeah.
Okay. And now, what is your particular role in the organization, David?
Yeah, thank you. I'm the media coordinator, one of the media coordinators. So I upload the social platforms, whether it's Instagram. Instagram is primarily one. I post videos, I post flyers, any relevant information that's going on in the community, or things that involve social justice and hip hop. We try to have a pulse and try to have a finger on that and share what's going on with the Bed-Stuy community and also worldwide online. Yeah.
Okay. And now, Brother Daryl, peace.
Peace, fam. What's going on?
Yeah, we're good. We're good. So now introduce yourself and talk about how you became involved with the UHHP and your what and also what your involvement is in the organization and um also talk about your inspiration in terms of Garveyism.
All right. Thanks for having me on the platform. Appreciate you once again. Um, I met Brother Kazimbe. You're gonna hear people say that, mention that name a lot, and during our cast. But he is kind of like the backbone on a lot of this, and how majority of us got involved in some kind of relationship we had with Brother Kazimbe. He's actually a member of an organization I'm a member of, which is 500 Men. But he kind of pulled me aside one time and told me, he liked my energy and how I was moving about things. Wanted to coordinate with brothers who was moving in a specific manner to try to get his thing. Um, well, add or having additional pieces to this thing he had moving. So, to be very honest with you, I'm just inspired by Brother Kazembe. He's a spirited brother. He's passionate about the things he wants, and what he's looking to do for Black people, and as far as informing people about Pan Africanism, Marcus Garvey, and things of that nature. And to be very honest with you, I wasn't necessarily as knowledgeable of some of these things, but when you have a passionate brother trying to explain to you why you should have a little bit more information, it kind of that's I'm one of those people. When I see someone excited about something to the point where they feel like they want to tell everyone, well, then I want to know what you got going on. So that's a large part of it. And through that time, I just kind of been taking on assignments. So brother Kasimbe say, hey, bro, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? And time a lot in, or I can make some space. But for the most part, I'm really just to help. If he asks me to do something, or if I can be assistance to the plight, I do my best to do so.
Okay. And so far, what has been if you all know, I know y'all are on social media, what has been the response from the followers on social media with regards to the parade and the upcoming events?
Yeah, I
And
think that
either one of y'all can take that.
yeah, yeah, I think there's just a level of excitement because of the history of the Universal Hip Hop Parade. It's been around for over 20 years, and it's something that the community of Best Side really takes pride in. And it's the only parade in the world that it's social justice and hip hop related. So as far as like social media, if we put something out there and we promote it, it gets well attended. We had
Mm,
something about 2 weeks ago at Bethany Church, and we had about there was like 30 people, 30 mostly men. My girlfriend came; she was the only female there, but we were talking about social issues, what we could do to improve the community government, pooling resources, how we can mentor youth. Um, and that was just that was a meeting. So I think if we do a good enough job in promoting this march on May 18th, Pro African Purpose March, then we'll get a good turnout. Same thing with our showcase. We have a showcase in June. um I think June 22nd. That's going to be a talent show where we're going to have DJs, break dancers, rappers. We're going to get them all together, and that's going to be at the Black Men Build Space on Tompkins between Pulaski and Hart. We expect a good turnout too. So,
mm,
we're in the process of getting the flyer together, and there's going to be more details on our social media accounts about the more specific details about the parade. Excuse me, not the protest, the pro African protest on Saturday, May 18th. You know,
mm. Now that talent show, what was the date for that again?
June 22nd.
June
June
twenty
20.
second.
Yeah.
Okay.
So be
Yeah,
on the lookout for that. Yep.
that should be good. I know recently they had um, you all had attended, and I know Kazembe had talked about it before it happened on the last show that I did with him. They had a thing that y'all attended for one of the B boys, King Uprock. Were you any of y'all there?
Yeah, I was there. So we were celebrating his 60th birthday. King Uprock has been like a pioneer in that space. The Uprock, for those who don't know, it's like for me, it looks like martial arts. It's a lot of like upward body movement. There's a lot of battling, and this is something that originated like in the 70s. Like some of it was used in some of the early movies, the hip hop movies. So he's like, I mean, they call him King for a reason, King Uprock. So we celebrated his 60th birthday at the Loudmouth space on Marcus Garvey. We know the owners there, a brother named Sam. and it was dope, man. It was just dope.
Mm,
We got together as a collective, conscious people, people that love hip hop, and just to celebrate him and everything he's contributed to the parade. Because he's there, he's been at several parades of the Universal Hip Hop Parade. He's right there in front of the boxing gym on Gates, and he
mm,
sets up and he dances, and he's participated in many hip hop. Since I've been around, I've seen him at least three of them. So I could imagine how far back he goes with Kazembe, you know. So
mm.
yeah.
Yeah, because this particular organization, it stands on two pillars: hip hop and Marcus Garvey. Um, so you know, there's the that yin and the yang. You know, and how important do y'all feel incorporating hip hop into that is?
You know, it's funny because I smiled when you said that because being on the media coordinator, like the social media, sometimes I'm like, everything has to be social justice related, right? And it has to be like a Venn diagram. It has to be hip hop and social justice, and somewhere in between. Like I'm like, I don't want to put nothing that's too commercial. I don't want to put nothing that doesn't involve social justice. But because I'm always tells me, just like we have two legs, there's two pillars in the parade. So as long as it has some sort of positive effect, then don't be afraid to post it, or it has something relevant to the culture. But I feel like they intertwine, because we use hip hop to fight for social justice all these years, whether it's the Public Enemies, whether it's just the fight. There's so many artists, but yeah, I just want to add that.
And also,
Mhm.
hip hop is like a communal language. So a lot of times, you say just hip hop, and your ears antennas pop up. You're being spoken to. Culturally, this is what you come from. Um, all I know is hip hop. I wasn't one of those people that, it wasn't around when it was always around, and it was always a specific, or it's always a different conversation where it goes from having just being music to the culture to social issues and how those things kind of intertwine. So it's only natural that when you're trying to talk about some revolutionaries, or just black people, or not even just black people, just people that are pushing the line on trying to make like specific social change for the neighborhoods. That's kind of like the epitome of what hip hop was at one point in time. It's changed, of course, but it's still that language. It's still a communal language that we all speak fluently. It's too easy to draw the parallels, and that's kind of what brings a lot of people in sometimes. So for them to for Kazembe and I to have conversations about things, I always like to hear his perspective. He's a bit older than me, but you could tell he's like soaked with knowledge and all these different things. So to make years and years and generations kind of just seep together, it's kind of what hip hop does. It doesn't take you out of the conversation. It pulls you in and makes you another contributor to these things. So it's only right to add the social justice aspect to it.
Yeah, yeah. So it's I can say for myself, I became conscious, and we spoke about this before. I became conscious through hip hop, believe it or not. You know, because back in the days, hip hop was not like it is now. You know, when I was coming up, we didn't have mainstream hip hop. Hip hop, you used to have to catch it on underground stations, and they usually in the nighttime, and some of them in the wee hours of the night. And those that did those shows that did come on like Kiss FM and and WBLS, they would come on like on certain days, like and in the nighttime, you know. So it was a lot different. And like when I was coming up, they had like underground stations like DNA and Hank Love, the Awesome Two. Um, you had like, and then a little bit later on, you had the Stretch Armstrong and Barbito Garcia show, you know, and I used to stay up late nights, man, listening to these different shows, and they would always have, particularly, you know, on the college stations, you know, they would always talk about socially relevant issues, you know, and so me, I was just listening to the music, but then when they start talking about things that affected the community, you know, I was all ears. And then, you know, when you had groups coming up like Public Enemy, Rakim, you know, X Clan and stuff like that, you know, KRS-One, you know, I was like wide open, you know, and I started, you know, reading different books and just expanding my knowledge. And so that's, you know, I would be lying if I was to say that hip hop didn't have an influence on my outlook and perspective today with regards to things that affect the community, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's powerful. Just want to add De La Soul and Tribe Called Quest. Those are some great
Yeah,
artists from
native
that
tongues.
era. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Exactly.
DJ,
That whole native tongues collective.
you know what I'm saying? Well, I remember that guy from back in the days, you know what I'm saying? So my experience is just a little bit different. Um, by the,
Mm,
by the time I got to the point where I could listen to music anytime I wanted, it was kind of just there, you know? So
mm,
I always kind of like listen and delve back into people only being able to access this thing at certain times. It was certain shows, and if it wasn't that, then it just wasn't happening. So um, it goes back into, like I say, in that language that people speak. So at one point in time, it was underground, and you had to be in the to know these things, and now it's just part of the language. So it also seems together how we give our information. So it's only right that, like on the social media and things of that nature, when you're telling people about your show or your event, you send a flyer. That's hip hop as it gets. You dig what I'm saying? But that's the language
mm,
we know. So it's kind of also showing how those things come together. Like uh, it's too natural, or it feels second nature to let people know, oh yeah, well we got this going on, and what DJ's going to be here. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
it's
mm-hmm.
second nature. So it's watching the culture watching underground culture become the culture. You know, and that's the way we could spread information. And let people know of the different agendas we have going on, different ways to educate yourself and have information about your plight. You know.
Yeah. Now at this year's parade, I know back in the days they would always be different artists who attend, hip hop artists who would attend the particular parade. Do we have any particular artists this year?
That's still being worked on from my knowledge. You know,
Okay.
that's still being worked on. I know from because you've been involved. In some of the parades from what I know. Um, I think
Mm-hmm.
in the
From the
past they've had
beginning.
artists. In the past they've had artists. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just about seeing what that looks like in you know, what it looks like in the logistics of it. Would it be at the end of the parade? They always have DJs along the procession, along the parade, and I know in the past there's cars like the vans or the I forget what they call them. Those cars with trailer cars with artists on it
Mm-hmm.
performing. So they I've definitely seen that in the past before
Floats.
the pandemic. Yeah, exactly. Before the pandemic, they've had that. So we're still ironing out the details about this year.
So like
No.
I know last one, or the one I attended last, DJ Ralph McDaniels was there, and he was a large component of helping and assisting the parade at UHSP. So it was great to see him there, and the ton of culture he brings with just bringing his name, but his presence and being a part of walking the line, walking down the parade recession. You automatically kind of perk up, like, oh, that's DJ Ralph McDaniels. He's a part of this thing. What is this? So it all ties in together.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Ralph McDaniels, he had been a long time supporter of the parade. And as a matter of fact, I don't know if you all know, but the first time before I even met Brother Kazembe, I actually saw him on television.
Oh wow.
Okay. And yeah, I saw him on Video Music Box. Y'all remember, Video Music Box.
Sure.
Um,
We're old enough.
yeah,
Mhm.
well, I think he changed the name to the Bridge now, right? Ralph McDaniel Show.
I don't give me the line. I'm not sure.
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
But I know it from back in the days. It used to be called
Right.
the Video Music Box. That was Ralph McDaniel's show,
Mhm.
and we used to
First of its
all rush, huh?
first of its kind, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and we used to all rush home from school to go catch because it when when we were coming up back in the 80s. It wasn't like we didn't have cell phones and all this stuff where you could just look at anything as it's streaming on the television, stuff like that. You had to see what you had to see on the TV. So everybody knew as soon as school was out, you rush home to go and check Video Music Box, Ralph McDaniel show. you know and so one day I came home from school, and Ralph McDaniels was at, I think it was at one of the colleges, and I still have this on VHS tape somewhere. I have to look around and dig, but and I saw this young dude, man, and he was talking. He was Ralph McDaniels was asking him questions. He was talking about socially relevant issues and things of that nature, and I was like, oh, who's this cat, man? And then one day, because I was involved with an organization that was centered around Marcus Garvey. It's called the African Nationalist Pioneer Movement. And this kid comes in, and because we'd have weekly meetings, and he came in on the meeting. I looked at him. I said, "Weren't you on Ralph McDaniel's show?" He said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And then that's how we met. But yeah, it was through seeing him on Ralph McDaniel's show.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Video Music Box, and that was the show, man. Everybody who was somebody back then had their start with Ralph McDaniel's.
Hundred
Yeah.
percent, 100%. And that
Hmm.
he has a documentary that's on. I think it's on Showtime, and it tells the whole story of his 30-year plus um origins of hip hop, and that kind of influenced what later came the Yo MTV Raps with Ed Lover and Dr. Dre. But Ralph is the pioneer of archiving and documenting all that footage of the early days of hip hop. The
Uncle
80s.
Ralph.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, yeah, he was the man. Now,
Mhm.
fast forwarding to some current hip hop issues, and me personally, I my job is very demanding. My work day starts at 3:30 in the morning,
Mhm.
and when I come home, I'm just ready to crash because it's almost time to get back up again. So, I've been out of the loop. I used to be on top of everything, and we were having a conversation the other night, and you guys were, hipping me to some stuff that was going on recently that I missed. And we were
Your
talking
homework?
about the
I was thinking the
I
same
did
thing.
do
You
I
heard
did
some of
do a
the
little bit of homework.
songs.
Yeah, yeah. The Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef. But now what I was confused about though is that years ago I remember that Kendrick Lamar was, claiming to be the king and this, that, and the other. And so now how did this become like rehashed? That's what I was confused about. Because I remember back then, he had a beef with Papoose, for claiming to be number one, this, that, and the other, and a lot of people got offended. So how did this whole thing get like rehashed again? That's my question.
Well, that's the perfect word, rehash. It never really went away. You know, there was a bunch of different small kerfuffles throughout the time. Some of it made attention, some of it didn't. So I don't know if y'all kind of heard about the rumors of like Diddy getting into it with J. Cole, but that was over Kendrick. They were at a party together, and Diddy got into his feelings about
Mm.
King of New York, and J. Cole kind of stepped in and got and, and there was some physical repercussions he had to deal with because a lot of times
Mm.
you see these personas, but you don't necessarily know that these are passionate brothers, and sometimes they passion get the best of them, and it turned into a small incident. You know what I mean? But
Oh, who was
I think
fight? Who was fighting who physically?
uh, Diddy and Diddy. It's alleged that Diddy put some hands on J. Cole, and J. Cole, in essence, was trying to like stick up for his friend Kendrick. He invited him there, or he was in the city, so he tried to make Diddy was wilding a little bit, and for those reasons, because Kendrick said something about King of New York, and that thing kind of didn't sit right with him. He probably wasn't in the most sober states when that happened, allegedly, and J. Cole kind of stepped to protect his brother and got caught a one piece or maybe a two piece. Allegedly, all this is alleged. You know what I'm saying? So those things have been around and kind of whispered about for quite some time. Uh, and watching it come back, because like you said, perfect word, rehash. It's just kind of like, I feel like Kendrick poking the bear, and he never kind of got the resolution he wanted to, and he's not afraid to explore that again. But it looks like this time Drake isn't trying to have a long, drawn out situation. He kind of responded as well, and now it's antagonizing Kendrick to say, "All right, this is what you want. Let's do this." So it's, as an
Mm.
outsider looking in, kind of fun to see that level of competition in hip hop. Hasn't happened in quite some time, and with some of the best. A lot of times when it does happen, it's kind of like not necessarily premier names in the game. So watching these guys match wits, and see who's the most clever and trying to get people to respond or react. It's fun. It's the hip hop I remember.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, I didn't know that they got into a physical alter. J.
Allegedly,
Cole caught a two piece from Diddy. Wow.
Diddy's been involved with all these scandals, man. Because I go down the YouTube rabbit hole. So that beat 0 to 100,
right.
zero.
And Drake got into it.
Yeah, him and Drake got into a scuffle as well over that beat. Because I think they were gonna give it to Diddy initially, and I think he was gonna have Drake ghostwrite it, and then Diddy refused it, and then Drake made a smash out of it. So he has a history of getting like violent with artists. I mean, allegedly, but
Allegedly, there you go.
Mhm.
but
Allegedly.
um
Allegedly. Mhm.
but yeah, but I'd also like to chime in on that battle. Like that, it seems like they've been throwing subliminal shots for over a decade, and it's all in a fierce competition for who has the top spot, whether it's Drake, Kendrick, or J. Cole, and now it just comes to a head. You know, Kendrick, the song you were talking about where he was dissing everybody, that came out, I believe, in 2013. It was called Control, and that was with Big Sean, and he was like, "I got love for all of you, but I'm trying to murder you." Dudes on a lyrically, like, it's still competitive, it's still a blood sport, it's still warfare, like he still wants it, he got love, but anybody could get it. So I think it just came to a head, like, the song that dropped on the Metro Boomin and Future album was called Like That with Kendrick Lamar. This might have dropped maybe a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months ago. And that's when he was like, F the big three is just big me. And that was like a direct shot. And that was a response to First Person Shooter, which came out on Drake's album a few months prior to that. So it went from, and J. Cole had a line on there that was slick. He said, everybody's steppers, but everybody's breakfast. When you break it down, Kendrick Lamar's album was called Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. So it's like you giving him a compliment, said we the big three, but then you throwing a little shot at him. I think Kendrick just had it up to him. He's fed it, and he's like, you know what, I'm gonna take this crown. Now the issue is um all these battles, all these songs have dropped in the last 3 weeks or what have you. You're talking about a J. Cole first with the 7 minute drill, but then he later apologized. But he was spitting some flames in Kendrick's direction. Then you got Drake with two songs. The 50 drop down and give me 50, and then the other one with using the AI, the artificial
Taylor made.
intelligence. Yes, with Snoop
Mm,
Dogg and Tupac's voice. So,
mm,
and it's like a Royal Rumble because Drake, he's dissing Rick Ross on on the first song, Drop Down Again 50. He's dissing Metro Boomin, the producer. He's dissing Future, all on one song, and he's like, that's why they're calling him Thanos or like Dran, like a Drake. The Thanos, the character, they calling him because he's going after everybody. So it's
mm,
nuts right now. But I love Kendrick as an artist, and I think the
mm,
purists, the hip hop heads, are like, when is this rebuttal coming back? And it's been about 2 to 3 weeks, and it's, I think when it comes out, it's gonna be like a napalm bomb, like a ether. It's gonna be dope. But we're getting impatient. We're getting impatient, and a lot
mm,
of the hip hop heads are like, "Yo, he should have been responded. Yo, if somebody disses me, I'm responding to them in 24 hours, 48 hours." But I think they're waiting for the rollout, and when it comes, I hope it's awesome. I hope it matches the energy that people are expecting. You know.
mm, mm,
With Drake is and that Metro Boomin album. Um, I don't know how or why, because him and Future were actually very close. They put up a couple projects together. Some stuff I loved, I still like. I did not understand initially why they were beefing with each other, but there's some type of internal situation. I didn't get too much into why it was happening,
Ju-
but
Just to add to that, Daryl. So apparently he did an album with 21 Savage, who's
right.
also from Atlanta, and that's part of the animosity. He was like, "Yo, Future was a little upset that Drake did an album with 21 Savage." So that's part of it.
mm,
You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
mm,
And then in addition to I'm not sure why or what's going on. The timing is kind of weird, but several artists have been getting at Drake. It's not just Kendrick, or it's not just Rick Ross. I was actually upset when Rick Ross and Drake fell out, because I'm not sure if you're familiar with their music, but they
mhm,
put the best music together. I love when they get together and collaborate. Some of the beats they pick together, some of it's almost theatrics. You know what I'm saying? Like those guys, they make very good music together, and they complement each other. So to hear them at odds is just annoying, but also too is entertaining. Watching. So Rick Ross did what everybody expected Kendrick to do. Rick Ross was at him before the song even got pressed properly. You dig what I'm saying? So
mm,
it just kind of reminds me of those days when I used to work in a record store, and that was how people came in, energized. Oh, you got that new.
mm,
Or you got that new. Or you heard what happened to this guy. You got the song. Get it. So it feels like this this younger generation is now feeling what we've been telling them about for quite some time. You guys have been around long enough to remember one of the biggest ones. I would suppose was Jay-Z and Nas, and only the biggest
oh yeah,
because that's when mainstream had a stranglehold on everything. So there were
mm, mm,
several different ones before that, but I would say Jay-Z and Nas because it's two local artists, but that came worldwide, and people were picking sides. People held allegiances to these people they don't even know, but they enjoy their music. They had life moments to these people's musics, and so there was like an allegiance, and it was palpable. It was like, who's gonna say what next? So I feel like it's the same thing, but the difference is now you got a whole country. People talking about Canada this, Canada that, and then the whole epiphany that is the West Coast, or epiphany, wrong word, but the whole conglomerate that is the West Coast, but including Cali, Compton, and Kendrick. So just it to me, it's just fun. Uh, Speaking of J. Cole, I was kind of surprised that he backed out the way he did, simply because for the last couple years, he's been telling everyone he's the best and bring on all challengers, and he's not afraid of anyone and what he's going to do. Anyone tries to step up, and then he backed out. So I'm just like,
mm,
you know what? Sit this one out, homeboy. Let the two guys we really want to see go at it. And that's been a thing. Other people interjecting themselves as opposed to the two big heads going at it. So it's to us, we've been through this before. We've watched our favorites say what they had to say, and people take sides. And I think the younger generation get a chance to experience this now, as opposed to hearing about how it used to be. So I hope these guys put on a great show. You know what I'm saying? I hope it does what it's supposed to do, energizes hip hop. People become more fans. They go back to listen to what's being said, and now they have to use their ears. It's not just face value music anymore. You got to understand what's being said. You got to catch the slick little lines, the clever little wordplay, the metaphors, all that good stuff. So,
Mm-hmm.
as a fan, I'm enjoying this wholeheartedly. You know.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. You know, it's but that's hip hop. Hip hop, it's always
Hip
been, battling,
competition. You know who's best, who's the smartest, who's the cleverest.
Yeah.
How much time does Kendrick get to respond? Like how much time are we giving him?
I don't subscribe to the clock theory. You dig?
Uh,
I don't see my God not saying something about how he feels about the things being said about him. I just don't feel like you could tell him when to say what he's supposed to say. I know you could feel like he's obligated to say within a couple days or a couple weeks or whatever. Drake also made mention to the fact that Taylor Swift's coming out, so you better hold your response till after that goes out. More antagonistic, beautiful bullshit, but at the same,
right.
it's gonna hold a note. It has a stable place. So I understand why people feel like he should respond as soon as possible. But how you gonna tell the Pulitzer Prize winner when he supposed to write his song? You feel me? Like it is what it is. What we did mention before is we hope that it's as potent as it's supposed to be, because then we're gonna feel like we waited this long for this. You dig what I'm saying?
Mm,
But at the same time, understand why people feel like there's a clock, but Pulitzer Prize winner. You feel me? He writes when he feels like it.
mm,
And to your point, I remember the Jay-Z, he dropped Takeover like around 9/11, and then Nas didn't drop that album, I want to say until like November, December, the
Right.
Stillmatic, where he had the ether on it. So,
Almost
you
six.
mm.
know, you, it takes time. It might take 30 a month, it might take 2 months, but as long as it has a huge impact, that's what's really gonna l- stand the test of time. That's what's gonna make an impression on us.
So
Yeah.
hip hop has become so instant with Instagram and the constant access. There wasn't this constant access to artists back in the days. You couldn't tell what your favorite artist ate. You'd have to imagine things like that. Imagine knowing what Michael Jackson did all the time. I've been on that stuff. You dig what I'm saying? I was a huge fan of, or knowing what restaurant Jay-Z went to or something like that. But now that's instant. These people have
Yeah.
on them at all times, and they're constantly updating people as to what's going on. So that 6 months didn't. In retrospect, hearing people who remember it, how long it was, kind of, oh yeah, it was quite some time in between. But to us, we just remember the song, the results. You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
back in the days, it was the magazine. You have to read it in the magazine,
right,
Source magazine, Word Up,
so you have to
right
wait.
on.
Right, right, right. So
Yep.
again, I don't necessarily subscribe to the clock theory, but I understand why our kids and this generation goes, no, you're supposed to say this now because he said something then, and then he said another thing. So now you gotta, yeah, yeah, yeah. But how you tell people what to do with with their time? You dig what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I think we're as fans we just want it. We just want
Right.
it out. We want it out. So, but yeah, I mean, if it's well calculated and it's like science he's dropping, and it's it's like, if it's similar to ether, then it'll be worth the wait.
I'm almost certain Drake is ready for it, and he's gonna have something to say right after that. So it's fun,
Mm-hmm.
fun. At this point in
Mm-hmm.
time, I'm just enjoying it while still handling my own BI. Like you said, brother Fierce was saying, I can't be on top of this stuff like I used to be, but I'll listen as soon as it happens. But in the
Yeah.
meantime, go back to handling my business. But if it's something do drops, I'm perk up and listen. But it can't consume me like how it used to before. You did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Likewise, man. It's like, it's what you have to pay your bills,
Right.
So it's,
There you go.
you know, we grown
Hey,
folk now.
I'm gonna be late on my internet bill because Kendrick ain't dropped. You feel me? I'm not sure my cable provider is gonna listen to that. You dig what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
time between time, but I'm definitely patiently waiting.
Yeah. Yeah. Indeed.
Yeah.
Me too. Me too. Well, guys, it's been a pleasure, but even though we started a little bit late. My clock in terms of what I have to do for the day is still ends at an hour. So we said we would start at 10:30, end at 11:30, because I have to make a few runs. But man, it was a pleasure, and we're gonna definitely have to do this again, if y'all
Indeed.
don't mind, and maybe have another, maybe have Brother Kazembe on with us, you know, and he's taking care of some business right now, um, where he's out of range. But yeah, we definitely gonna do it again if y'all are up to it.
Indeed. Real quick for those who are listening, next week, May 8th, I believe, we're going to be having a meeting about some of the things we spoke about as far as the UHHP March. And we'll be meeting at the ACA, which is located at 441 Marcus Garvey Boulevard. As far as I know, that's open to everyone. If you're in the area and you'd like to come and build, come find out what the agenda is for May 18th. I suggest you stop on by if you feel passionately enough. We love to see and have you guys. And I've been commissioned to make sure I make some phone calls and do it while I'm on a platform speaking to people. I like to do that as well.
Daryl, is it
So
is it is it May 8th or May 11th? Because I'm looking at a calendar. Is it you he usually does those on Saturdays? No.
Uh, I was just reading the text. So the text I have was the 8th, but it could be the 11th. What we will do, what I suggest we should do is May 4th. Actually, that's this week.
yeah, May
Actually,
4th. Man, I
Oh,
see him looking at the text. May
okay.
4th.
May
yeah.
4th. Okay, great. Okay.
So again, I believe that's open to the public. But if you live in the area, if you are local, if you can make it out, I'm almost certain we'd love to have anyone who would like to be there, who'd like to contribute and get more information about what the parade is and what we'll be doing. So like I said, I'm just taking advantage of the fact that we broadcasting to people and giving that information out.
Sounds good. Sounds good. All right, so that's it, and I thank you guys for joining us,
Yeah,
and definitely
thank
looking forward to doing it again.
Yeah, we definitely will,
Yeah,
and
you
thank you
guys were
for having
definitely.
us. This has been a great
Oh,
platform
you're
and a
quite welcome.
great discussion. So
Thank you for
yeah,
having us again. Again, big shout to Brother Kazembe. He is the reason why we all know each other and getting together. So big shout to Brother Kaz. Your work
Yep,
is living on with and without you. You dig what I'm saying? We just growing constantly. You planted the beautiful seed, and we're able to continue to grow. Thank you for bringing us together. Thank you for inspiring us to want to be informed about Marcus Garvey and Pan Africanism, all the different subjects you bring to mind or help us want to explore. We appreciate you greatly. Take this time to shout you out, big bro.
definitely. Thanks to Brother Kazembe,
Yeah.
always community minded, and that's really good. And you guys have been really good guests,
Thank you.
and I appreciate you. Okay, all right. So I'll close out the show now. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us, man. Appreciate you.
Okay, now. All righty. Likewise.
This. Take it easy, King.
Okay, peace. All right. So that's it. And we're going to close the show out now. And time flies when you're having fun. But yeah, we're definitely going to do this again. And I'll say until the next time, peace.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Peace, peace, peace.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.